Beautiful but menacing. Could get a bit of a storm again.
The little lizard on the fence.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, go film him. Show them the lizard. Take me to your lizard.
Take me to your lizard. There's the chook. Go away, bee. He's gone. There's a helicopter. I can go. Oh, where is he? I can hear him but can't get him in. There he is. I don't know, maybe it's Joy Flights, but it's a blue and white helicopter. That's usually police. This there, I just got a bit of him, but...
Go away, B. He's been spinning around the sky for a while now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Sure what he's doing.
Hi today. I'm going to go in and sweep the floor in a minute.
Is that what you're going to do?
Huh?
I might go and watch the footy shortly.
Yep, and then I'm getting picked up to go get the sausage.
About 1.
No, pick me up at 12:30.
I'll come over about 2 because you reckon about 4, don't you?
Yep. Oh, even
I'll have a
2:30.
wander around.
Otherwise you'll get bored. Because there's not really seats to sit out there.
No, you've only got the workstation, haven't you?
Yep. Oh well, it's for
So
the
is Mark.
grandson's camp.
Is Mark doing it?
Yep. Well, oh man, that's huge. Go away. What is that?
I don't know.
Well, of course, Mark's the barbecue man. Get him on the cooking. Yeah, she's got a lot of her work team helping. More hands makes light work, easy cleanup.
A sausage sizzle for the school. Who pays for all the buns? School do that?
I have no idea.
Or was it donated?
I think it's donated. So this is for William's camp.
Oh, it's not for the school, it's for
No.
a specific thing. Oh,
Yes.
Okay, yeah. And he's away for what, 4 days?
3 at least.
You'll enjoy that?
I tell you what, for 3 days there's a heap of Gary's got to take. That's why they're trying to raise extra money, because there's some families that can't afford it.
One of the best ones I heard years ago was they used to do, because it was cheaper, it was the local SES, which has all these tents for like emergencies. They've set up tents for cafe, showers and things like that. They took it to a couple of the poorer areas and set up those camps, and they would be on standby in their own little tents along with the teachers and the students, and they would learn bushcraft and light fires, and they were just at the back of the school in the yard, which I thought was pretty good because they could go to the toilet in the school. Yeah, so that's one way of doing it. It's not an adventure like going to a different district or anything, but still good fun. Hello, Sean. 7-8. We actually started the camera because we saw helicopters going berserk around the area, but now they've stopped, of course.
I'm not on my phone. Who's that?
Sean, the Brit.
Oh.
Got some more weather coming in though.
Love you, Sean. Big kisses.
I don't even know what time it is over there. Must be close to midnight in most places, I guess.
No. Oh yeah, he's US. I kept thinking he's UK.
So when you're going back across the pond, Sean, you must obviously have family still there, I guess.
Christmas, he said he was going.
Christmas, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Warwick Castle, Sean.
Yeah, the castles were good. I remember some when I was a kid.
He doesn't want to go. It's his wife that wants to see more. So
Of
that's why
the UK.
castles. So I said
Oh, yeah.
Warwick, Cardiff.
8:53 p.m. Of course, you're on West Coast, aren't you?
8:53 p.m. Saturday.
Yep. Sunday here. Already had our breakfast. It's after lunch, or coming up to it about lunchtime now. Lazy day today.
Well, not for me. In an hour.
Oh yeah, no. You're going to do the sausage sizzle to raise funds for the kids. And I'll come down. If you're going at 12:30,
Yes.
I'll come down to 2 because you don't finish till 4.
If you want to sit around there.
No,
for 2
I'm going to have
hours.
a wander around Bunnings and have a look at stuff.
Stuff. And stuff.
Yeah, some of those glass splashbacks they had there, they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, I
I
know.
had a quick look elsewhere and they're not that expensive.
I will get it from elsewhere. It's just an easy object to keep clean and looks nice.
Yeah, it'd be no good in winter, Sean. Miserable place. Even though I only lived there till I was 9, winter is unpleasant at best. Mainly the wind. I lived up in a place when I was about 7 or 8 called Fradley, and that's freezing. And even in the Midlands it's cold. Nearer the coast it's not too bad, but not many people can live on the coast in England. June, July is nice. We went in May, and I think it was June when we went to Germany. So yeah, pretty good, cool, but not cold. But then we're talking about England, Sean. You can have winter any day in England. That was one of the old adverts by a comedian. You hear all those choppers going around? Can't see half of them because the sky is full of storm clouds, but I think there might be joyrides or a police chase. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I've got a unique experience of leaving the UK in 1969 and returning 50 years later. And the only way, I said it to Nicole the other night, the only way I can describe it, and it's not racist by my statement, but there's not much of English left in England. And you know what I mean, very definitive if you went to different districts, Geordies, Mancunians, up north, down south, they all had distinct flavours when I was a kid. Very distinct differences. That no longer exists in the UK. In fact, it was hard to find an Englishman. And that's not being derogatory, that's just a statement of fact. However, you go to Ireland, and it's totally different. The Irish is Ireland, full of Irishmen. Very friendly, they're like Australians actually. You go back every 4 years, yeah, well you would notice the differences if you've done that for a while now. I mean, I remember leaving my grandmother's place just before we left to go on Heathrow to fly to Australia. And in those days it was a prop BOAC, DC something. Had about 9 landings before I got here. Felt like I was on the first fleet. But even in Manchester at that time, again this is not a racist statement, but there were huge suburbs being taken over by Pakistanis, Indians, but it was a gradual thing, it wasn't, but now it's not even like that. Yeah, BOAC. Actually got a little plane, you know the metal planes they give you? One of my kids snavelled that years ago, but hello, Lake. Yeah, but BOAC. It was interesting. I remember we landed in all sorts of countries, but flying across the Swiss Alps, you only just flew across them in a BOAC prop plane. You weren't that far up. Hello, buddy. But landing in Bombay, Where else did we land? We landed in about 7 or 8. It was a milk run, if you know what I mean. But mind you, we were £10 poms. That's right. My old man only had to pay £10 for 7 people to fly across the world. Hello. This is his sweeping and cleaning.
Who's there?
Buddy, Sean,
Hey, buddy.
Lake.
Hey, Lake.
It's like a parrot, isn't she? Yeah, but I'm not going to be on long. Actually, just telling Sean, I'm trying to catch these helicopters, but whenever I put this Streamlabs on, I can't zoom in. Otherwise, I can't use the functions of my phone. It just takes over. So you get what you see. But we are going to get some more rain. We've had a decent drop of rain the last few days. Yeah, 10 quid was a lot of money. 69. You won't even buy your lunch now. The one thing I've noticed, and you travel a bit, Sean, as well, is that everywhere you go, you could close your eyes and be in London, you close your eyes, be in Sydney, in Perth. The whole world is multicultural, and that's probably a good thing, don't get me wrong. But it's same. Everywhere you go, there's always a little Chinatown somewhere, which is not a Chinatown. It's a row of shops with Chinese takeaway. There are different communities in different areas, but everything is just about duplicated around the world, wherever you go. One thing that they can't duplicate is the countryside and the history. They are established in time. But people, we are a very multicultural world. So there's no chance really of racism existing in the future, because we've got, I don't know, in Australia it was something like 180 different cultures that live here. We have every known church known to man being built or already built. No one burns them, fights them, shoots each other. We just get on. But it's not that I miss, when I went to England, I didn't really miss the fact that the English have been taken out of England as in context of culture, because it's the same in Australia. I just didn't want it to happen. I wanted to go back to a certain area in Manchester and hear all the Manx talk. I got one guy who was a real Manx, and I said, "You just sound like my uncles and my granny." He said, "Yeah, there's not many of us left." They were his words, not mine. Yeah, it's like if you went to Spain in the 70s or 80s, well, what you'd see, it's Spanish. Because when the Europeans joined together, just opened every door. So if you go to any city in the world, close your eyes, and they open them, you could be in any city. That's just how it's unfolded. And like I say, it's probably not a bad thing in all, but it certainly has taken the flavour. But the beauty is I like architecture, so when we go to different countries, I like to see the history, and that is established. That will not be changed. But and the views and the landscapes, they're all beautiful. All around the world's different that way, but the people of this planet are basically same everywhere you go. But you get a great example. In the US, terrible shooting today, but just another one. I'm not taking that as a light statement, but it's another shooting. Doesn't happen in Australia. It rarely happens in Europe. It's quite uniquely an American thing, which is very sad. Anyway, I've got to put this down. Try and switch it around. There we go. Good day to all. I won't be on much longer. Yeah, you go to New Zealand, for example. It's just stunning. It's not like the Swiss Alps. They're not as tall as the Swiss Alps, but it's beautiful mountains. Even in summer, there's a bit of snow on them. New Zealanders are basically like Australians in many ways. Well, my statement, Lake, is not only is it terrible what happened today, but it's just continuing. I read a stat last year that in the US, once every 2 weeks, there's a shooting. You can't name another Western country that occurs in. It just doesn't happen. It does happen, but not on the frequency, which is crazy. Am I going to get into a gun law battle with anyone? No, I don't give a damn. It's your country. You keep whatever rights you want to, but the consequences of a lot of people having a lot of guns is what unfolded again today. No matter what anyone tells me. It just wouldn't happen in the UK. Wouldn't happen in Australia. So I don't know what the solution is. I'm not an American. I don't have the choice to vote in America or make decisions, but I don't think many Americans do either, to be honest. Otherwise, I don't think they get a choice. But something's got to be done. It's become so frequent, Lake, that it's like not numbing. I can tell you, if 20 people died in Australia today from some madman going around shooting, the nation would be numb. It would be catastrophic. So I think that's the difference. You become, as a people, numb to the effect. 20 killed in El Paso, 14 killed over here, 7 killed over there. It's like not real. Like people go, oh, it's terrible. But no one does anything about it. And I don't want to get in an argument with anyone about gun laws. I'm not interested. But something's broken. Something's terribly wrong. The frequency of them is catastrophic. I mean, I'll give you the example. I remember the shooting's been going on for years. It's not new, of course. But I remember when the Iraq war started, and I didn't agree with that at all. I actually said at the time, and got castigized by Americans by saying, you are stepping on a hornet's nest by going into Iraq. It will come back to bite you in the ass. And it did, and it continues to do so. I don't agree with that, Blake. I'm not arguing with you, but not giving the media attention just sort of keeps it under the covers. Doesn't solve the problem. You have more gangs in America than is unbelievable. This gang hates that gang, Bloods, Crips, whatever you want to call them, Latinos, all these mini wars. Yeah, you could say that, buddy, but the truth is a people runs its nation. Collectively, the people have to make change. And I know people say, oh, but politicians do that. Well, maybe some people need to stand up to be politicians to change things. Blaming an individual group for the problems of the US, no, it doesn't cut it. All these different ethnic groups are killing each other for different reasons. So, like I say, hiding the problem by not telecasting it. Look, you guys are probably old enough to remember the Vietnam War. Every day you would see the bodies. We would see Australians loaded into C-120s flown home in coffins. We would see people dying in the bush in Vietnam. In Iraq you saw very little of that because they didn't want you to see it. Then you had released tapes that came on YouTube. We saw that then. But, if you heard 20 American soldiers died in a conflict in Iraq, as a nation you'd mourn. But 20 people have died today in a rampant madman shooting people, and it's like not numbing. It's not effective. In other words, it's like, oh, that's terrible. But it's not terrible, it's catastrophic. And I don't know the answer, but the answer to do nothing is not the answer. The answer not to change something is not the answer. So it's like, if you're frightened to go out in your own country because you think you might get shot, there's a problem. Do you know what I mean? It's a big problem. If you think, oh, I'm not going out after 8 o'clock because I might get shot, mugged, there's a problem. And you can use the words law and order and all that, but like I say, I want you to type in gun deaths in Australia. We don't have 20 a year. Most of them are suicides. There is the odd madman that will shoot somebody, of course, but not in these rampages that occur in the US. So there is a problem, and ignoring it is not working, or minimising it is not working, and a lot of them are copycats. It's pretty easy to see a lot of the things that are happening like that are copycat shootings. But if you don't feel safe in your own country, and you've got kids and you've got grandkids, you've got a great deal of concern. So I don't know what the answer is. I'm not an American. I don't get to vote. I don't get to change a damn thing. But as an outsider looking in, seeing people die for no reason and frequently, it's become like, I'll guarantee you, in 2 days' time, this shooting won't be mentioned. It'll be forgotten. There'll be a car crash on the freeway somewhere. There'll be some guy climbing a skyscraper, jumping off, and the 20 people that died today, they'll just be forgotten. So that's numbing. In other words, it's like, oh well, sad. It's catastrophe. Again, I mean, I'm ringing the bell here, but I'm telling you, I can't do a damn thing about it. But to have it along the lines of an acceptable evil, I don't know where you go with that. The bloody helicopter's still getting around. You see him, but all the clouds are covering him up, I think.
Oh, he's close then.
What's he doing? What is it?
Police.
Oh, righto.
I'll go check my sign.
Yeah, people and soldiers that fought in the Vietnam War have been treated like shit. I mean, literally, treated like shit. If you asked a Vietnam soldier in Vietnam why he's there, if you could go back in time, he would say, I haven't got a clue. I have no idea why we're fighting people we have no bitch with. I've met and knew so many Vietnam soldiers that said, I have no idea why I was sent there. I had no idea who I was shooting at, so I'd shoot at people. And some people call them war crimes. I'll give you a clue. You're stuck on point duty somewhere. There's bullets flying around everywhere. Some little Asian bloke gets up. You don't know whether he's... In fact, just shoot him. Happened all the time. Because they had no idea. And they were sent to a war for political reasons, for bullshit, to cover face for politicians. I was so angry about the Vietnam War. So angry. And most of the people that came home, because of the protests against the war, many people flowed that protest against the soldiers, which was really wrong. Absolutely wrong. Terrible. Until this day, they're still not really recognised for what they contributed. In other words, they laid their life on the line for your country. There's no greater sacrifice ever than doing that, because you're not only laying your life on your line for your country, but your family, your friends, and the nation as a whole. Why you go there was stupid, but you went there anyway. So there's nothing stupid about a soldier doing his job. There's a lot to be said about the politicians that talked a load of shit and lost a lot of lives trying to cover face. And not one president of the United States in that era is exempt. I would probably say only Gerald Ford. But he still had to clean up the shit for 18 months. No, they're treated like shit. I mean, only in the last 10 years here have a lot of Vietnam Reds been looked after. That's usually because of a third party called the RSL, which is the Return Service League, which is just people, helping people. Government does the basics. But I'm tired of wars. Any one of you here right now, if you see America say, oh, we're going to go and fight Iran, you tell the politicians to put a bloody uniform on and go do it. And then you say, I'm not doing it for you. You can stick that up your jackie. No more wars for politicians' fucking anger. Yeah, I'm angry about wars because they're usually started by dickheads who have no idea what they're doing. And they're quite happy to send 10,000 troops. Oh, let's send 10,000. Oh, they died? Oh, well, let's send another 10,000. Next time any one of your presidents says, we're going to go to war for the greater of America. Just stand up in the middle of the street, millions of you, with your middle finger up. Say, sit on it, because it's not happening. Of course, what the government does is hand out these little bits of metal. There you go. Yeah, I know you lost both legs, but have a little bit of metal. Yeah, you feel better now? Yeah, no, I've got no housing for you. No, I've got no job for you. But here's a little bit of metal. Stick that on your chest. That'll make you feel so much better. I know it happened in the US, and it certainly happened here. Soldiers that had returned from Vietnam while the Vietnam War was going on protested in Australia and threw their medals in the ocean. And they was photographed doing this. Oh, look, both my grandfathers fought in World War One. They said the same shit. It wasn't until 30 years later they realised they didn't know each other, my mother's father and my father's father. They were 200 yards away from each other in the Somme, in a trench. And they both said the same thing. Wet socks, no food, people shitting on the floor next to you, and some dick come past wearing a big hat saying, "Righto boys, go over the top. Don't worry about the bullets, you're bulletproof." Again, next time someone says we need to go to war, I want you all to get in the middle of the street and do this. I'll be doing it. Buddy, if you, me and Simon would go back 40 years and we're both in the jungle, you're on point, I'm behind you, Simon's in the trench next to me, and we just come under a hail of fire, we're just going to shoot at anything. Anything that even looks like moving, you're going to pull out your M16, I'm going to throw grenades, and Simon's going to get on the repeater and rip 30 mil shells. And we're just going to keep shooting till things stop moving, because we have no idea who the hell it is. I don't blame any soldier for that. There are always war crimes, don't get me wrong. But us three, in the middle of the jungle, getting fired upon from God knows who, we're just going to keep shooting till it stops moving. What are you going to charge me with? Am I scared? You bet I am. Is Simon shitting his pants? Yep. My buddy just wants to shoot anything because he thinks if he doesn't shoot them, they'll kill him. It's a dumbass war sent by dumbass politicians. They've never been held accountable. You know, the McNamara's, who had late changed his mind. Or well, maybe we shouldn't be in the Vietnam War, McNamara said. Maybe it's not a good idea. Let's rewind the clock about McNamara's statements. We've got to send more troops. We've got to bomb Hanoi. We've got to make it a car park. Crazy. Yeah, if I was your commander, I'd say, well, we've been given a job today, boys. We've got to go down that trail for 5 clicks. Anything that even looks like it's alive, I want it dead. Don't come back till they're all dead. I don't care what it is. Insects, birds, anything that moves like a human, they've got to be wiped out. And at any time you think you're under a direct threat, get 14 billion gallons of napalm dropped ahead of you. I mean, I know the story because I've known Vietnam vets. A lot of the so-called lieutenants, captains, unfortunately died untimely in the field, not with the bullet of the Viet Cong, because they were making stupid ass statements about doing stupid ass things. Did it happen? The answer is often. Anyway, enough of my rant. I'm going to go and watch the footy shortly. But promise me, you guys, next time some dick stands up wearing a tie in the Oval Office and says, we're going to war for the betterment of America, I want all of you. Don't say a word. Stand in the street. Hello, awesome. Pink and greys. That's what you're hearing behind me. Pink and grey galahs. I don't know if you can see them. Probably not. They're noisy buggers, eh?
Hey, awesome.
Yes. The boss is here.
Won't be for long though.
Hello, Brogovich.
Gonna go do sausage sizzle.
Yeah, but McNamara was the instigator of a lot of things that occurred during the war, buddy. That's just my opinion, what I read of history, what I've seen on video. He did change his mind, of course.
Here comes the helicopter again.
What did I just walk into? World War IV. No, just venting my disgust at politicians happily letting the nation's youth be burned up for their anger. I'm sick of it.
And the shooting today.
So, yeah. And like I said to the boys, and I'm not making any mockery of this at all, 20 good people died today in El Paso, yet in 2 days it'll be forgotten. If it happened in my country, awesome, we would be devastated. We would be shattered for years. But it's numbing when you have the same shit happen every couple of weeks. It's numbing. So you go, oh, that's terrible, and move on with your life. And what gets done about it? Nothing. Nothing. What's going to come out of today? Just coffins. And you can multiply 20 by 200, which is the amount of people that are usually attached to each other in a family. So there'll be 4,000 people mourning today, and the nation will mourn for 20 minutes and go watch the football, or the baseball, or the basketball. You are desensitised. That's what I'm saying. If it happened here, we'd be devastated as a nation.
Because it doesn't happen often.
I think there's a chopper coming in. Probably hunting me down. Governments. Anyway, I'm not here to start a fight. I feel very sorry for the 4,000 people attached to the 20 that were killed today. That's a lot of people in mourning. But I don't know, people block it because it's not something they want to be involved in. They will use these words, at least it wasn't me. But I'm more likely, this sounds atrocious to say, if I took my good wife to Baghdad, went to Mosul, went to Crete, and then came back to Baghdad and flew home, I'm probably going to survive. If I go to El Paso, Chicago, New York, well, see what I mean? In context is what I'm saying. I'm not attacking American people, don't get me wrong. I'm attacking the fact that 20 people are dead today, and yet tomorrow it'll be basketball news. Or who's going to be picked in the final team for the NFL. Or, oh look, there's a volcano erupted in some oblique island that we've never heard of. And this will just drift into history like all the other killings.
I'm going in.
Yeah.
Picked up soon.
Yep, we got to go anyway. I've got to shoot off, but my hot dogs are done. Actually, that's what my wife's making today, buddy. She's going to a local hardware store, big one, called Bunnings, and they allow schools to do hot dogs, well, sausage in a roll, if you like. Fundraising, so she's off to do that, and I'll be down later to give them a hand. But have a good night, wherever you are. Whatever you do, like I say, if your government's mine, I'll be doing the same. If our government say, we've got to go to war because it's the right thing to do, all of you in the street doing this. Because if you're not doing that, I'm going to find you.
And I love yous all.
Have a good one, people. Catch you later.